yet another episode of Reverie Unplugged. I am Ritika Jeswani.
And I am Anas Khan.
And we are here today with Vikram Labhe sir, who is an eminent alumnus of our college.
After finishing his BTech from the same institute as Asol, he moved to Simon Fraser University in Canada to finish his master's in VLSI technology. After which he joined PMC Sierra and climbed up the ladders all the way to lead the business of PMC Sierra in India. He quit PMC Sierra in 2016 to join as the CEO of Five Brand, which he headed until very recently. His most latest venture is an AI-based astrology startup, Melooha, which aims to connect people together with astrology.
His list of achievements are endless, but today we are here to decipher the man behind these achievements. So let's dive into this podcast and we'll talk about Sir's educational background, his journey as an entrepreneur, his college life, and we would end with a very fun rapid fire round.
We hope you all enjoyed. Let's get started.
Good evening, sir. Welcome to yet another episode of Reverie Unplugged. We're so glad to have you here after so long. And to begin with the questions, I'd like Anas to start.
Firstly, how does it feel like being back at the campus?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for inviting. It definitely is a pleasure to be back. And in this capacity, I never imagined. So thank you so much. Feels amazing. कॉलेज जब भी आता हूँ तो पुरानी यादें ताज़ा होती है. कभी सोचा नहीं था कि कॉलेज मुझे बुलाएगा एंड प्रिंसिपल बुलाते हैं तो बहुत ही अच्छा लगता है और आप लोग बुला रहे हो तो और अच्छा लग रहा है. Yeah, it's a great feeling.
Great.
When you just got back, you must have seen that there are lots of events going around in the college. Was it the same in your time as well? And did you take part in these events?
Yeah, इतने events नहीं होते थे, but honestly speaking, I was a very shy guy, personally as well as I don't think मेरे में कोई talent भी था. So that was another reason मैं participate नहीं करता था. कोशिश करी थोड़ी बहुत. क्रिकेट का बहुत शौक था. We used to have अभी भी है cricket. We used to have cricket tournaments inter branch and उसमें कोशिश करता था. कभी नंबर लग गया, but ज़्यादा उसमें भी नहीं लगा. But still, I enjoyed every bit of what was happening.
Right. So what would you say? Were you like a backbencher or a first bencher? Like कि बीच में involved in everything, like पढ़ाई, extracurriculars, everything, or were you just very studious or only into extracurriculars? Like what were you like in during your college time?
I think बहुत से secrets बाहर आने वाले हैं. So definitely not a studious type at all. Reminds me of an incident कि so हमारे टाइम में कैसा था कि there was no semester system, there was a yearly system, and in that as well only fourth year marks mattered. So first 3 years मैंने कभी pressure लिया ही नहीं कि मुझे कुछ करना है. So I would just do what I wanted to do and make sure I clear somehow, go to the next year. So मेरा impression plus मुझे आदत थी उल्टी टोपी पहन के कॉलेज में घूमना, and in those times 30 years back I'm talking, right? So impression भी ऐसा बन गया था कि ये तो पढ़ाई लिखाई में कुछ है नहीं है. And what happened was in final year, there was a microprocessors पे एक course था and internals में I was the second topper. So when the professor was giving out marks, he says, roll number and this much, and then he looks at me and he says, come here, pass plan. He says, is this really you? Yes. So it was quite a moment, I would say. He, being recognized by the professor at that time
Right.
for what I could potentially produce when it mattered.
Right. Okay, so like अभी जैसे हम देखते हैं, a lot of people choose engineering because their parents asked them to. So like when you were our age, आपने खुद से engineering choose किया कि were you forced by your parents or was it under peer pressure? कि how was it for you?
Yeah, again, another secret coming out. Anyways, so honestly, I never had the pressure from my parents कि engineering कर. So none of that was there. मेरे साथ ऐसा हुआ कि मेरे सारे फ्रेंड्स को इंजीनियरिंग करनी थी, एंड दैट वाज द ओनली रीजन आई सेड ओके मुझे भी इंजीनियरिंग करनी है. And when I was picking the branch, my father was a successful businessman in civil. Um, so I was मेरे दिमाग में सवाल था कि should I pick engineering in civil or should I pick what I really want to do? So I talked to him and he was like, when I did civil, no one told me to do civil, and I'm where I am. You should do what you want to do. So yeah, I'm where I am. Yeah.
What do you think were some of the facts that helped you separate you that helped separate you from your other peers? Some of the things you did differently back in your college days that sort of propelled you in the direction you took.
So during the college days, I would not say there's anything special I did, to be very honest. Um, you know, e- when I started to peak, my friends have joked कि कभी तुझसे expect ही नहीं किया था. So no, at that time, no, I was a very average, normal kind of guy. Uh, yeah.
So you're saying that you were an average guy in college. So when was the time that you learned all these life skills from that made you the man you are today?
Yeah, I think it's been quite a journey. सबसे पहला realization हुआ जब after I graduated, I realized कि there would be no companies coming to college, right? So that we know, but I went to the market and I realized कि the job market is very bad. I ended up moving to Mumbai, and the first job I got was like 2,000 rupees a month salary. I couldn't even afford a place to stay in that money. तो तब समझ में आ गया कि इससे कुछ होने नहीं वाला है. And your back is to the wall, and you have to do something about your life. And that's when I would say I became very serious about professional part of my life. That's what led me to do GRE, TOEFL, and luckily I got admission into one of the top three universities in Canada, and that's where the journey began. Then.
Can you share some of your memorable experiences from the university you went in? I think it was the Simon Fraser University.
Yeah, well, it's very different. Okay, and the culture there is the PhD and master students study together. So the syllabus, the evaluation, everything is same for masters as well as PhD. Um, plus I was not a IIT guy. I was a Ramdeobaba guy. Plus I was a very average guy. So the difference was massive. Um, so it was very tough, honestly, very tough initially. First couple of semesters was um, trying to figure out if I can survive. But once I figured out, how to crack these courses, how to study in this environment. I first time heard a concept of open book exam. I first time heard a concept of take home exam, come back after 48 hours. Um, but those were, I would say, 10x more difficult than a normal exam. Um, but I think that really helped me prepare um, for the very tough, professional environment that I needed to face. So yeah, he's been good in that sense.
Would you say that the education there sort of change your perspective on how you should learn things? Because as we know, learning is a process that you do throughout your life, and sort of it just helps you change your perspective around, no, maybe this is what I've been doing wrong and I should have changed it.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. There is definitely a large portion of that. Plus, the university empowers you to learn what you want to learn. And when I was doing my master's, it was in VLSI analog circuits, and there was a course on PLL circuits design. So I wanted to learn PLL circuit design in detail, and there was no course available. So I went to the prof and I said, this is what I want to learn. So he created a course called Directed Studies. He said, you need to find two more students because we need minimum three students. Then I can offer this. Uh, and then, yeah, I found uh, two more students who would be interested in this, and a course was created. but it was all empowered to us from a learning perspective. There would be no classes. There would be evaluation. There would be exams. There would be projects, but there would be no classes. Um, so yeah, it was like a mini startup, you can say, that you have to go figure out and become successful. Yeah. So it was a very hands-on experience. That's right. Yeah, you have to read a lot. Plus, you have to do the projects. You have to define the project and you have to execute on the project. Both.
It's so great, like you found your calling and you went for it. I mean, you didn't wait for anyone कि वो course आएगा, I'll do it then. You basically went to your professor कि I want to do this, make that course for me.
Yeah, I mean, there were other courses I could have taken, but as I said, I'd figured out कि life में कुछ करना है, तो this is the opportunity, and if that means that I have to create my path, I will create my path.
You cannot always wait for the opportunities to
No.
present themselves. You need to go looking out for them.
You should never wait for the opportunity.
Noted. Okay. So, like, since we're talking about your college days, what are three things that you liked spending your money on in college versus now?
कॉलेज में समोसे की टपरी पे बहुत गया हूँ, चाय और समोसे की टपरी पे. नॉट द काइंड थिंग एक्चुअली. वी यूज्ड टू गो, देयर वाज अ पीछे की तरफ एक टपरी थी. देयर वाज नो वॉल, देयर वाज अ तार, एंड नीचे झुक के घुस के निकलते थे. सो वहाँ बहुत टाइम स्पेंड किया हुआ है. मूवीज बहुत देखी है. राइट. एंड कपड़ों का शुरू से शौक रहा है. सो खाने का अब भी बहुत शौक है. घूमने का बहुत शौक है. मूवीज का भी बहुत शौक है. But I love driving, so that's the difference now.
Following up to that, what would you say the three things you prioritized more back then that you would prioritize something else today?
During college, or you're just in general?
In back then, when you were learning, you were in college, getting your education versus now.
Yeah. So, employability was definitely a priority. After I graduated from Ramdeobaba, I realized कि and I did bunch of small businesses. उसमें भी पैसा नहीं बन रहा था. So yeah, I would say there was a high priority at that time. Making money was a high priority at that time. Third one I'm struggling to find. I wouldn't prioritize these at all today. And I would say um, helping people become what their true potential is something that dramatically excites me. Whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's leadership, whether it's technical, whatever, helping them identify and handhold them, I would rate number one. And number two, I would say, family time at home and outside. And number three is, the leisure activities that I like.
What was some of the distinguishing factors that helped you propel towards starting your own company, where most people were going out looking for jobs and giving interviews to different companies?
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic question. But before I answer that, I would just speak about the job I did, because that is what prepared me for this. So after graduating from Simon Fraser, I joined this company called PMC Sierra in Vancouver, Canada. Life was perfect. I was doing really good in the job. US patents, technical publications, topmost rating year over year in the company. But something inside was giving me a feeling कि मजा नहीं आ रहा है. Yeah, feeling of incompleteness, feeling of wanting to do something that makes a bigger impact. And that's when this opportunity came, which PMC wanted to set up R&D center in India. And honestly speaking, I was heavily underqualified. The job description, if one was looking for 10 things, I did not have even one of them. But luckily for me, my parents were with me at that time, and my father has been an entrepreneur. घर पे आता था, बात करता था उनसे कि किसी दिन अगर मेरे लिए जॉब होगा इंडिया में तो आई वुड वांट टू गो. And my father could sense कि I'm very badly wanting to apply, but I'm hesitating. So he said, "Do you think you can do that job?" And I said, "Yeah, I know I can do that job." And then he says, "Then why are you not applying?" And I said, "Because I'm not qualified." And my father gave me advice, which has been a life-changing advice, I would say. Um, he said, "That's not for you to decide. That's for them to evaluate if you're qualified or not. So if you feel you can do the job, then apply for it." So that's why I applied. They were not even considering my application because I was not qualified. I managed to convince them, went through the whole interview process, uh, and I beat a director, couple of director level candidates to get this job. And I landed in Bangalore as the first one in 2005. To get the job, I definitely sold myself really well. Right? But once you land, you realize that life is very different than what you thought it would be. I had to present what would be the challenges, how would you deal with it. I had all my PowerPoint ready, right? But the whole list of challenges was very different, and I had no experience dealing with any of that, and I was on my own. Um, so that's where, although it was a job, but it was more like a entrepreneurship, but within a company, right? I had to figure out, ऑफिस कहाँ लेना है, लीज नेगोशिएट करनी है, लोगों को हायर करना है, टीम बिल्ड करनी है, प्रोडक्ट्स बिल्ड करने हैं, everything by myself. Of course, I had a support of, leadership from Canada, but they were there to support. I had to execute. And in any journey, execution is the differentiator, right? So yeah, that's what prepared me, for entrepreneurship, I would say. And
I suppose it helped you change your mindset a bit, and when you are finally put on that spot, then where you need to do something, then I think it really helps you grow as a person. What would you say? How would you say your experiences heading the venture back in Bangalore? I think it was. That's right. Shaped you and changed your views on how the corporate world was like.
yeah, this is a fantastic question as well. Um, you learn from all kinds of bosses. You learn from, and it also depends on what kind of person you are, right? Yeah, you learn from bosses who you're not happy about, and you learn from bosses you are really happy about, right? And that's what builds you who you are. Um, so PMC Sierra was a no name in Bangalore when I started in 2005. There were gorillas like Intel and Qualcomm and Broadcom and everyone else. Um, and semiconductor is an industry which focuses on hiring senior people only, which meant I had to hire from these places, which seemed impossible to begin with, right? So you need to have something that would sell to that candidate, right? Luckily for me, it was on natural leadership of me, which became a selling point. Um, I believe in you know building trust. Even if I have to deliver bad news, I will not hesitate doing that, but it should not come as a surprise. Okay, I believe in mutual respect, extremely important. If I'm a boss, I have a title of managing director. That is a reflection of roles and responsibilities, not an entitlement for anything. So in the end, everyone is a human being. Everyone is equal. And third, I will say is transparency. If there is a bad news, I know I would be transparent with people who need to know. I would not hide. So there was no room for politics, in PMC Sierra. That became the differentiator between, most other semiconductor MNCs versus what we built in PMC. As a result, it was very tough to ramp up people, but once they came in, no one left. The industry average for 10 years, 2005 to 15, industry attrition average was anywhere from 15 to 20%. In PMC Sierra, it was single digit in 9 of the 10 years. So yeah, that was a massive differentiator, and I wouldn't say it was a learning; it just came naturally. Yeah.
Right. So, like throughout your journey, there must have been times when things were like very tough and you felt like giving up. Ki, this won't happen. How do I do this? So, how did you get through it? How did you get over it?
Yeah, been few times. I almost quit corporate world. There was one time when I said, if this is what in the corporate world gives you, it's better to go do a job in a school as a teacher. Uh, yeah, but your credibility speaks for yourself, and if you have built your credibility, there are always some well-wishers who would stand for you, who would stand by you, and who would help you. Because if you're going through a situation first time, you're confused. You don't know what to do. A lot of times, not always, but a lot of times you don't know what to do. Uh, and so you need someone, whom you can go to and अपना दिल खोल के सारा बता सको कि, this is the shit I'm in, and how do I come out? And so I was lucky I had those well wishers, and I would do anything for them anytime in my life.
Right. Okay, so since we're talking about these people, who are always there for you, are there any of your college friends, like whom you're still best friends with or talk to on a regular basis?
Yes, Ramdeobaba ka friend is one of the closest person I am with, and he's an entrepreneur as well, and you know we exchange notes all the time. We are like open book in front of each other. Yes.
Given the you just talked about how the different risks you face, would you say it is worth it starting a company considering all the risks it comes with and the decisions you need to take? Some of them might not go your way. Would you still say it was worth it?
So entrepreneurship is not for everyone. Entrepreneurship, requires very different personality. You have to deal with ambiguity all the time, uncertainty. Navigate your way all the time. You know, you have to keep selling your story to everyone every day, including your team members, your colleagues, your potential customers, potential investors. And while you are selling that story, the story is changing all the time. So it's not easy. So I wouldn't say it's for everyone, but I would do it 100 out of 100 times.
Right. Okay, so now moving on to your recent startup, which is Melooha, I would love to know like where did this idea come from कि you know AI से आपने astrology powered app बनाया. So मतलब where did this idea come from? Like did you feel a need for it, or I just like to know the whole thought process behind it.
I think a fantastic question as well. जब मैं किसी को बताता हूँ मैं एस्ट्रोलॉजी का ऐप बना रहा हूँ तो 80% तो हंसते हैं एंड समझाने की कोशिश करते हैं कि क्या कर रहा है तू, राइट? So I've been a very curious about astrology right from engineering times. I would go meet different astrologers, and honestly, most of the times वो जो बताते थे कभी नहीं होता था. But I would still try to find the next one. Okay, I was just curious. Luckily for me, what happened was I found some very talented astrologers. As a result, whatever they told would happen every time. So I found a pattern कि अगर इन 8 लोगों के पास जाता हूँ तो it's like random. Okay, and in दो के पास जाता हूँ तो whatever they tell every time happens. So it cannot be fluke. It cannot be कि probability theory, let's say, right? There has to be some basis to it. Okay. Um, and in my previous startup, we had built a SaaS product. We had taken it to global market. We had really, learned the skills of how to start, build, and scale. Okay. तो मुझे ऐसा लगने लगा कि if there is really science behind it, right? then I carry the skills of building a SaaS scalable platform and taking it to audiences. And the most important thing in this whole journey was, like I quit my corporate world at my peak. I did my first startup, sold it profitably very quickly, and then became the next startup journey, which was, dramatic, right? Uh, but I decided to quit that journey as well and do Melooha when we were destined for a NASDAQ listing very soon. This is like a once in lifetime opportunity to be part of that rocket ship, right? Plus there have been some health challenges, stuff like that. In all of this, astrology has been a guiding force in my life. Those really talented astrologers have helped me, navigate this whole key, what decisions I should take, when to take, when not to take. It's like I like to give this cricket analogy. I'm a huge cricket fan. Like if you're a good batsman, right? What if you knew ki, his bowler ka third ball is going to be deadly, right? You'd be more careful, right? So your chances of getting out goes down. And if you know ki fourth and fifth ball are going to be loose outside the off stump, so you're prepared. So the chances of hitting it out of the park goes up, right? So I've used astrology like that in my life, right? Minimize, the damage bad times or bad situations can do to you, and maximize the potential of the good that can happen. So that's where the thought came, and that's where I said, कि मुझे इतना फायदा हुआ है जिसकी वजह से मैं यहाँ हूँ. Big reason, that contributed. uh, then I want to impact every human being on the planet, and this is our science. Dying also gives an opportunity to revive it.
How would you say the response to Melua has been by the first users of the app?
Yeah, amazing.
Would you like to tell us about it?
Yeah, would love to. We recently did a soft launch. We did no PR. We did no, paid marketing. Sara social media and, organic way se chal raha hai. Very happy to share that we are in 26 countries right now. We have paid customers, not just in India, but, outside India as well. Uh, very soon we are going to roll out a first video testimonial of a paid customer. And I know she's a lady from Canada. So yeah, it's been, I couldn't have asked for more. There are a lot of other parameters that we are tracking internally, and they are unbelievable. How much time people are spending on the app, how often they're coming back on the app, what is the weekly retention. Yeah, it's a challenge to maintain. That is how I see it, and it's a challenge we are happy to take.
So after listening to your journey so far, I think that you'll not rest here. So like, do you have any other startup plans in the line, or what do you think? Melooha is the last, ki or kuch you're thinking about?
Yeah, so never say never. However, I feel astrology is a ocean. My goal is to give credible guidance to every human being on the planet, and that's a lofty goal. It cannot be achieved day one.
Right.
The accuracy cannot be what we want it to be day one, right? The breadth of questions that people ask is, we cannot have that day one. The difficult situations people are going through in different aspects of life, right, cannot be ready day one, right? So there is a lot of work ahead of us. So for us to be able to make the impact we want to make, it took 25-30 years for yoga to reach the recognition it has reached. It was a dying science. It was, किसी को बोल दो मैं योगा करता हूँ तो हंसते थे, अगर जिम जाता हूँ बताओ तो बोलते वाह वाह, right?
It is mainstream now.
Yeah, it's mainstream now, right? So our goal is to bring astrology into mainstream by bringing credibility through astrology. Melooha is just a means, and there can be others as well. We would be very happy to have a competition in that sense.
So my next question for you would be, do you believe in spirituality?
So yeah, I have my own version of it, I would say.
Yeah.
I very strongly believe in the energies. I very strongly believe in karma.
Yes.
So yeah, that's my definition of spirituality. I wanna, जो बुरे कर्म हो चुके हैं उसका तो कुछ नहीं कर सकते, बट जो जिंदगी बची है उसमें जितना अच्छा कर सको उस पर फोकस है.
That is very wise.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my definition of spirituality. I don't believe anything is in our control. However, the one thing you can always do is put the efforts.
Right.
You say astrology is like meteorology, but about people. What made you come up with that, and how do you define it?
Yeah, so I give a cricket example, so I can even relate to cricket. But meteorologists, how do they help us, right? They help us plan our life in a particular season, a rainy season, let's say.
Right.
Okay, or in summers as well, if it's going to be hot, right? If I want to go out and if I read the weather report कि बारिश होने वाली है, right, I would probably carry an umbrella.
Nice.
Okay. And if it says कि thunderstorm है, तो I would question if do I really need to go out, right? Astrology is a tool which can guide you like a meteorologist in all aspects of life, not just weather forecast.
Right.
And your personal life, hyper personalized, health related, relationship related, education, career, finance, travel, whatever.
Right.
So yeah,
Okay.
that's how I relate it.
There is always a reasoning behind everything.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so I would also like to know, okay, what is your understanding of religion? Like, are you a very religious person, or, how do you go about following religion?
Yeah, very interesting question again, right? I am not a guy who does puja. I'm probably one of the few guys in my home who, extended family I'm saying. So I'm not a believer of puja.
Okay.
My way of reaching God is karma.
Right.
So that's my way of reaching God. And if karma is your way of reaching God, then it's it's not just that form. It doesn't mean कि मैं भगवान के सामने हाथ नहीं जोड़ता हूँ, मैं हमेशा जोड़ता हूँ.
Right.
I do whatever my mother used to tell when I was a kid, and now I do whatever my wife tells. And पूरी श्रद्धा से करता हूँ.
Right.
सिर्फ चेकलिस्ट आइटम की तरह नहीं. बट अगर कोई मुझे ना कहे तो शायद मैं वो ना करूँ. So that's how I look at religion and God.
Personally, even I relate with you a lot. It's like I have a temple in my home. I go there, but I don't pray to God. I just sort of have a chat with Him. Okay, first of all, I will just go. The first thing is gratitude. Thank you for everything, and then I just put in, please exam में अच्छे थोड़े marks, थोड़ी मेहनत नहीं की, but just help me out this time. So even I relate to you a lot on that focus.
I would also say I'm similar to that, and I really liked your idea of karma, that it also relates to this belief I have. It's called optimistic nihilism, where if everyone does their part of goodness, then it makes the world a better place.
Absolutely.
And I feel like on our level, everyone should try to do their best and do
100%.
good for the world, so that we all can have a better place to
100%.
enjoy. Corporate life, as you have described, can be quite stressful. How do you cope with stress?
I think I'm still learning.
Would you like to share your learnings with us?
Sure. I'll tell what changes I have made.
Please.
So there was a time when I refused to accept that this stresses me out. Okay. I was unaware of what stress can do to you. And then a day came when it really hit me, from a health perspective.
Right.
And when I went to doctor and they said, do you take stress? I said, absolutely not. And then they asked me questions which define stress.
Okay.
नींद लगती है जल्दी? मैंने कहा नहीं लगती है. क्यों नहीं लगती है? मैंने कहा सोचते रहता हूँ. क्या सोचते हो? So then I realized that my definition of stress was wrong. I was enjoying what I was doing. That didn't mean I was not stressed. Okay.
Right.
So I was forced to take an approach which would help me manage this better, right, because of health reasons. And so I explored several things. Happiness program of Shri Ravi Shankar was the first one,
Right.
where I connected to meditation. I tried several other things before that,
Right.
but I could never connect to meditation. So I could never experience what it is like to be in a meditative state. Okay. So I've done that, and then after that, I've explored pranic healing. I've gone for week-long camps to pranic
Right.
healing places, and these are like less than 2-star facilities. So you will not go there for comfort. You will go there just because you're so motivated to go there, right? I've gone to yoga camps.
Yes.
So I regularly do yoga. I regularly do pranayam,
Okay.
and I also do meditation. So those are my ways. Plus, I try and do other things which give me pleasure, which I always did, but they were not enough.
Right. I have a follow-up question. Like you said, you've done Shri Ravi Shankar Shri program. So even I did the one which was for teenagers, and I've also done pranic healing. I mean, I've learned the course. So I have this very big question regarding meditation. Some people say that when you're meditating, let all your thoughts flow. Don't stop your thoughts. And some other people say that when you're meditating, just be, don't think about things. Just be, in the physical state, just focus on your breathing. So what kind of meditation do you follow?
Yeah, I focus on breathing.
Okay.
So if the thought goes anywhere else, I bring it back to my breathing.
Okay. So you don't let your thoughts wander.
I wouldn't say I let it go, but I bring it back. So I don't stop it from letting it go.
Right.
उसको रोकता नहीं हूँ. I let it go. But जैसे realize होता है कि I've gone somewhere else,
Right.
then I bring it back.
Okay. Noted.
To me, it sounds like many people, in their pursuit of exploring the things around them and in the world, they don't explore themselves as much and don't understand what they truly want, what is truly the best for them. I have a question relating to this. You must have heard a few months ago, Mr. Narayana Murthy made a comment that youngsters should try to work 70 hours a week so that our economy can grow together. And then there was a bunch of a mixed bag reaction to it, where many people praised it and say that is what is truly needed to grow. Many people also didn't like that approach because it did not prioritize everything in life, things that were truly important and helpful for a sustainable life. How do you view it and the whole the debate around it?
Yeah, so first of all, I have very high regards for Murthy sir. I think what he has done to the software industry in India, no one else has done.
Absolutely.
So definitely very high regards. It doesn't mean I align with everything he says, and this is one thing where I definitely don't align. I believe in outcome rather than hours. You need to be goal focused. You need to be very clear about what needs to be achieved and what is a realistic way and timeline to achieve that,
Right.
while keeping everything else in your life still. You should still have an opportunity to do other stuff that you want to do. That's my view of it. It doesn't mean it's right. It also doesn't mean it is wrong. It is just my view.
Right.
Life is very unpredictable, I feel.
Yes.
Switch किस दिन off होगा, no one knows. And as a result, the balance is extremely important. You should, on the deathbed, you should not have regrets.
Right.
Oh, one more follow up to that. Do you keep regrets in life?
No, absolutely not. No regrets. I've lived the life. I have no regrets. It doesn't mean I have not made mistakes, but I call those learnings. बहुत सी गलतियाँ की, but it's okay.
I relate to you relate with that on a very deep level, because I believe like you learn more from your mistakes than you learn from your successes, because you know what not to do now.
Yeah.
And punishing yourself for it with regrets, I don't think would be a very right way. But of course, people think differently.
Right. So, like you said that you have had a lot of a stressful period. So, did you ever consider going for therapy?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I think it's in India at least. It's a social taboo, so people don't want to talk about it.
Right.
Even if they do go, they don't want to tell about
Right,
it,
right.
right? I feel a human being should do what is right for that person. हम अपनी आधी जिंदगी इसी में खराब कर देते हैं कि लोग क्या
लोग क्या
सोचेंगे,
कहेंगे।
लोगों के क्या एक्सपेक्टेशंस है,
Right.
right? I think we shouldn't be worried about those things at all.
Right.
It is important to remember that others don't live your life for you.
Absolutely. Everyone has their own unique path and you have to define it.
I mean, at the end of the day, like 20 years later, अगर आपने अभी कुछ नहीं किया thinking about लोग क्या कहेंगे, तो 20 years later they won't remember it.
Absolutely.
But you would have that regret कि I should have done that. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
So, would you like to answer some questions about how the job market is proceeding these days? Because since the pandemic, there has been we came across the explosion of the salaries and all the packages that people have been getting all across the world. And then after the recession, a very slow recession that seems to go on for some time now, has sort of created a dystopian view in the minds of many people. So, what do you think about the job market, how it was before, how it is now, and where do you think it is going ahead in the future?
Yeah, so what we are going through is not new. If you look 20-30 year cycle, and your career is 30 years plus, right? So what you're experiencing now is nothing different. Let me put it this way, right? As I said in the beginning, when I graduated, there were no jobs. So today people shouldn't complain. There is a slowdown, right? If I could find my path in an environment when there were no jobs, there was no semiconductor company, right? Forget about jobs, right? People shouldn't complain. That's my first point, right? I've seen this very closely in dot-com bubble.
Yes.
Then 9/11, then 2007 when the financial markets crash, and then as a result, the subprime bubble, and the whole world was impacted.
Yes.
And these were so massive that it took several years. It took few years to find the bottom.
Okay.
And then several years to stabilize and come back and then go up, right? So what we are going through is probably a smaller version, at least so far what we have seen. However, what is very different right now is when I graduated, there were very limited fields in which you could make a career. You could make a career as an engineer, as a doctor, as a CA, maybe one or two more. Today, it's an ocean. You can make a career in arts. You can make a career in graphic design. These fields did not exist as a career. And to add to all of this, entrepreneurship has really taken off in India in the last few years, right? And while it is good to look for a job because that's the right thing for a lot of people, I think it's very important for everyone to also explore, is entrepreneurship for me, right? Because that's a fantastic career option as well, right? So yeah, while it's a soft market right now, the spectrum of opportunities is a lot wider. Reskilling is a lot faster.
Right.
And of course, entrepreneurship in itself is an opportunity which anyone can do.
Right.
Do you have any advice for the fresh graduates as well as industry veterans on how they can make themselves more competitive in the job market and keep upskilling themselves?
Yeah, so when I did my engineering,
Yes.
I did it in this branch called EDT, Electronics Design Technology. The branch doesn't exist today,
Right.
and you are interviewing me. So to me, it's not about skills, honestly. To me, it is about aptitude, capabilities, your attitude, your passion, वो करना है कुछ, right? अगर करना है कुछ वाला attitude हो,
Right.
तो you will always find an opportunity, right? So carry your personality and develop that to a level where it becomes a selling point. The opportunities will come your way.
Right.
That is a really good advice.
I mean, so you basically have to build yourself
That's right.
before building your career and everything else.
Then it builds everything for you.
Yeah.
And networking is a big part of all of this,
Right.
right? If you build that personality, you can network, but those connections have to be built. Those would get built faster if you have built your personality,
Right.
And they would stay and they would come to help you when you need it.
Great.
If that connection has been built.
One last question for you. What do you look for in a candidate that you think is really important, but many just happen to ignore it? For example, they prioritize the wrong things in upskilling themselves or making themselves more competitive. But later down they realize maybe this isn't what I should have been focusing on, and other things that I have missed. Is there any specific thing?
Yeah, there are few very important traits I look for. First of all, dealing with ambiguity, especially in a startup environment, is very important. No one potentially can tell you what your job description is going to be,
Right.
and stick to that, right? Second is जो 9 to 5 वाला एटीट्यूड है वो नहीं होना चाहिए. मोर अ गोल फोकस कि करना है तो
Right.
The third thing I would say is can I trust this person? Okay, so when I interview the person, I look for small things which helps me build confidence कि this person can be trusted, right? And the last is, do I see a potential for this person to be a long-term player, right? I don't like to make short-term tactical hires. I like to invest in people, build them up so that we do the journey together.
Right.
As a result, they also grow.
Perfect.
More questions?
Yeah. So we're done with the questions now. Let's move on to the rapid fire round.
Okay.
Okay, we'll go one by one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Ingmar, do you want to ask questions based on personal life? Like, what kind of questions would you like to
Anything?
ask?
I'll leave it.
Anything?
Let's just go randomly.
Okay.
Let's start. Coca-Cola or Pepsi?
Coca-Cola,
Chai or coffee?
filter coffee,
Going out for movies or watching it at home?
watching it at home.
Sounds very calm. Reading a novel or watching the movie adapted on it?
Watching them.
Reading a novel or watching a movie adapted on it? Because many
I didn't get the last part. Sorry.
many
like
movies
some-
are based off different books. For example, Harry Potter. Do you like reading the source material or seeing the adaptation on TV?
Neither.
Neither.
Neither. Okay.
Oh, here is something that would be very important to the youngsters. Android or iPhone?
Got hooked to iOS now, but I don't mind Android. I carry both now because of Melooha. I have to test it on both.
Okay.
Oh, one more. India or Canada?
But definitely India. No doubt in my mind.
That is true. You have more questions?
Yeah, I'll go with my rapid fire round.
Please go ahead.
Okay. Your favorite movie?
Many, but Agnipath,
Okay. Your favorite travel destination?
Goa.
Goa. Okay. I need to think. Your favorite beverage?
Filter coffee?
One of them for sure.
Coffee. Okay. Your favorite food, like your go-to food?
Well, if I have a choice, Rasmalai.
Oh, that's
Same.
nice. That's one nice.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay. Your favorite city in India?
Nagpur.
Nagpur. Okay. And
Is it because Bangalore traffic is too much to handle?
I love Bangalore as well. I would be very honest. I think that's what has given me what I'm today. Plus, most of my current friend circle is in Bangalore, so I love Bangalore. But if I have to pick one, Nagpur for reasons which are more emotional. This is where I'm born and brought up.
yeah.
This is where I spent my childhood. And if I look at comfortable life. Bangalore, definitely compared to Bangalore, Nagpur is a lot more comfortable.
You feel at home here?
No place like
I
home.
feel I feel at home more in Bangalore.
Okay.
I feel at home. Yeah, I feel at home more in Bangalore.
Okay.
But the traffic and the pollution is what makes it unlivable.
Would you like to keep experimenting for as long as you like, or you have set a point where I'm going to retire and just enjoy my life?
I hope I settle down soon in that phase of life.
Okay.
I'm glad. Would you like to say anything before we conclude for the day? Because we've asked you a lot of different questions. You've answered them very gracefully for us.
Thank you
Do
so
you have
much.
something you would like to tell our audiences?
To be honest, very impressed with the way you guys conducted this interview. I wouldn't call it an interview. It's a conversation.
Yeah.
Very impressed. Not just the type of questions, but how you carried the whole thing. It's almost like a professional way of managing it, is how I would say. Also, a lot of credit to people behind the camera, right? In making this happen. So yeah, kudos to you guys.
Thanks.
These were some of the things we could never even think of when we were a student, right? You guys are taking initiative. No, this is not something that gives you credit. So you guys are taking initiatives and doing things. Kudos to you guys. Keep doing a great job.
I have one last question. If you could talk to your younger self, what would you tell them? Like, what would you tell the 18-year-old or 20-year-old Vikram Labhe fresh out of college?
After everything you've known in life.
Yeah, so, a couple of things, right? While I definitely enjoyed that phase, which I want everyone to enjoy, right? Bring the focus a bit earlier. And second, while there were not enough opportunities for entrepreneurship at that time, that cannot be a reason. Maybe I could have considered this earlier.
Right.
So I would definitely encourage people to, give yourself a chance. What you can achieve as an entrepreneur is dramatically different and potentially more than what you can achieve in professional life in a 30 years span.
Right. Okay. Is that all?
I think that is all.
So, sir, that is all from our side. Thank you so much for being here. We had a blast talking to you, honestly, and it was so inspiring to learn about your whole life journey and your mindset and how you've built yourself to become the man that you are today. That was really inspiring. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much. A pleasure was mine. As I said during the interview as well, that this is my passion. I enjoy helping people build what their true potential is, and if even one or two people can get inspired to make a difference in their life, and as a result to the world, this conversation would be worth it.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank
This
you,
is
sir.
Anas Khan. This is
Ritika Jeswani.
this was Mr. Vikram Labhe on Reverie Unplugged. Thank you.